Okay, I'm going to talk about this trifecta between the government, the media corporations, and corporations in general. So, first, let's just define the difference between corporations and media corporations. So, corporations are just those corporations that sell goods and services, right? Media corporations are disseminators of information, right? So, they're kind of, in a way, they kind of create public perception. So, when you watch mainstream media, you learn about what happens and what's happening in the world, right? You learn about recent news events. You learn about, politicians who are running for election, for example. And in addition to that, you also get, you also see advertisements, right? So that's how the mainstream media makes money. They advertise for the corporations, right? So there's a mutually beneficial relationship between corporations and mainstream media. The mainstream media sells ad space to the corporations, and that ad space, those advertisements, convince the public to buy the products and services that the corporations sell, right? Again, it's a mutually beneficial relationship there. But let's throw the government into the picture. Okay, so what happens if the mainstream media is able to gain control of the government? Well, it would be mutually beneficial for them to do it. It would be mutually beneficial for the corporations and the mainstream media to gain control of this government. So, how do they do it? How does the mainstream media control the government? Again, they they show you who's running for the elections. So, in this most recent case, the mainstream media tells you that Biden and Trump are running for election. And what happens then? Well, because they're the mainstream media, because again they've earned the title mainstream, so they are the predominant disseminators of information, the mainstream media will convince the US public to vote for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, what also happens in kind of a backdoor, kind of a behind the scenes here, is that Joe Biden and Donald Trump, when they get elected, they go and they support the economic policies that benefit the corporations. Okay, so what happens when this occurs is basically you have a manipulated public. They're being manipulated by the mainstream media to vote for politicians who will support the economic policies that support the profit motives of the corporations. Why? Well, because again, if the corporations make more money, the mainstream media makes more money because the corporations can buy more advertisement. Okay, the corporations buy more advertising space from the mainstream media. The mainstream media advertises the politicians who will then support the profit motives, who will support the economic policies that support the profits of the corporations. Again, it's a trifecta of money, basically. And what it is it's corruption, okay? When the mainstream media is controlling who is being elected, what happens is they control the economic policies. When they control the economic policies, they control them in such a way that benefits their own profits, that benefits the profits of corporations and the profits of the mainstream media. So this is exactly what's happening in this country right now. So what happens is, again, the mainstream media pushes two candidates, Biden and Trump. And both of those candidates, whoever it is, gets into office and they support economic policies that benefit corporations. And then those corporations, again, they're making more money now, so they're buying more ad space in the mainstream media. The mainstream media can then advertise for more politicians who support the economic policies that benefit the corporations, and so on and so forth. Before long, you have wealth inequality on a scale that is destroying the middle class, that is creating so much economic strife that crime is going up, violent crime and, hunger, healthcare, or rather, mental health crises start. You have a healthcare crisis. The bottom line is that as this cycle continues to go on and on, the wealth inequality rises and the middle class loses, and before long you're kind of living in a caste system where you have a ruling class who controls the entire government, who controls the operations of the corporations and the operations of the media, and below that you have the slave laborers. Okay, this is the problem in this country. It's that capitalism has enabled this corruption between the government and the corporations, including the mainstream media. The mainstream media controls public perception. They convince public to elect corrupt politicians, and those corrupt politicians support the economic policies that allow the corporations to make more profits, and those profits pay for more ad space. It's just a cycle. Okay, so give that a little thought. Thanks for watching.